So here we are at Cubism 3.0. Now if you're finding where Animator is and where Modeler is, they are together in one software right now. So they're no longer in two different things. They're together, two in one, and you can click a button and switch between mode. Now just because you switch between mode doesn't mean you are switching into you're switching the canvas into a animator project. All right, you're still looking at this orange icon, which makes it a modeler CMOX3 file, and you're not yet working on a animator project yet. You have to go create an animation, and now you can see there are two tabs. One of them is a yellow icon, which makes this an animator project, and the timeline and the perimeter should be here ready for you. Let me drag and drop. So here's a project palette. You can see that I have my model, and we also have the newly created animator project. If I drag and drop a model, if it doesn't crash, it should show up about now. Or do I have to drag it somewhere else? Okay, yep. So you drag it into the timeline palette, and now we have our model. Now if you have more than one model, obviously you can drag and drop multiple of them, just like 2.1. But here's the project components and the assets. All right, and here's the timeline. You drag and drop, and you give them a timeline. I call it process, but I think that's because my file name is sort of named that way. But this is basically my model's name, and all the parameters are here. Now, what about this parameter? Why is it grayed out? That is because I have selected one of the objects in animation. Yeah, and this parameter palette is supposed to handle the modeler model. All right, so this is what it does to this. This does not move anything here. All right, it's grayed out and doesn't want you to touch it while you are in this animator mode handling an animation project. Alternatively, you have this part, or more like this part, to do the same thing, except that, like before, this is how you create animation in Animator. All right, so let's close this for let's leave this open. Let's go back to the modeler mode and I switch it. What it does is basically, I think these are just presets of what the palettes are. I think in my own experience, my first experience with Cubism 3.0, I did not even switch between mode. I just have modeler out and I have my timeline. Where's my timeline? Yes, my timeline down there all the time, and I just sort of like minimalize it, and that was enough for me. I don't have a big monitor, so I'm just used to small things, packed space. My workstation is pretty messy all the time, but yeah, you can move them around. If you move them like this, you see a yellow square box, you'll merge them together. If you have one single line, you basically put them side by side. All right, so move them however you want. Design your own perfect workstation for you to start on. So let's say we have this, and I regret what I did. All right, and I want to reset everything. Go to Window and reset palette placement. That should get you back to the default.